What is up, guys? My name is Johnny, aka Ricepool, and I'm the coach of the Cologne Conkelders, bringing you guys my GPC World Cup Group Stage recap. Now, as some of you may know, I applied for the GPC, the Grand Pokemon Conference, which is a pretty cool Pokemon Showdown league owned by Bob, aka Call Me 911, and Lars, aka El Scizor, and yeah, between all the coaches that were applied, some were selected to join an off-season summer tournament in the GPC, and I was one of the fortunate ones joining this tournament. It's a 6-month draft tournament with a group stage, and the first two from each group progress to a knockout stage. There are 32 persons in the tournament, and we had an open draft to start things out. Now, here on the screen, you can actually see my team. We have Conkelder, we have Scolipede, we have Mega Garchomp, we have Jirachi, we have Drizzle Politoed, not just Water Absorb, and we have Tornadus T. So I felt really good going out of this draft. It's a draft with cool utility options, nice offensive prowess. We have hazards. We don't have hazard removal, unfortunately, but I think since our team is not too weak to hazards, we can make it work. Now, so this video I'm going to go over the 3 group stage battles we had in this tournament. I already battled my 3 opponents. I battled Alex, Ethan, and Beige. I'm going to link their channels down in the description. And yeah, let's hop right into the first match. So we are facing off against Alex. Now you may wonder why Alex's team looks so funky. That's because he randomized it. Alex doesn't have to worry about getting into the GPC since he's already a coach in the GPC. So he decided to have some fun in this off-season tournament, and he randomized his team. But for a randomized team, he still has some pretty big threats on his roster. Staraptor and Heracross are immensely threatening to my team since I do not have the most reliable physical wall, quote-unquote wall. As well as a really solid physical wall core in between Gourgeist and Gramble. They take on most physically attackers really well. Actually, Sudowoodo and Aurorus run out his team, and Sudowoodo is quite the threat for my team, a offensive Life Orb or Choice Bandit. One has the potential to OHKO 3 out of my 6 mons, I believe. Maybe even 4. I believe 4. Stone Age OHKO's Scolipede, Ice Punch OHKO's Garchomp, Stone Age OHKO's Tornadus, and I'm not sure if it gets Thunder Punch for Politoed. It might, so not sure about that. And last, Aurora's strong special attacker, but weak to a lot of common types, so I'm not too worried about Aurora's. The team we're bringing is a Black Sludge Speed Boost, Spikes Poison Jet, Baton Pass, Protect, Scolipede, so to potentially pass speed into my Coal Minding, physically defensive Jirachi, or into my Conkelder, which is Life Orb Guts just for the Will-O-Wisp from Gourgeist. However, the primary purpose of Scolipede this game was to get up spikes since he doesn't have hazard removal, and I wanted to chip down his grounded Pokemon, which are all but Staraptor. Then I have a Life Orb Tornadus Therian, obviously regenerated with Hurricane, Focus Blast, U-Turn, and Sludge Wave. Since he doesn't have any really good special wall or special tank, I decided to go more with a specially offensive approach to this game, and Life Orb Tornadus just runs through his team once I find out what his potential Choice Scarfer is, and then once I'm sure what Tornadus can or cannot outspeed. Then our team is rounded off by a Choice Scarf, Drizzle Politoed, again max special attack just because he doesn't have any good switch-ins to strong special attackers, and in the rain, Scald and Hyroham do a ton. Ice Beam I have Ice Beam for the Gourgeist and a potential OHKO for the Raptor, as well as Icy Wind as a sort of last-ditch effort speed control measure. And last but not least, we have our Mega Garchomp with Stealth Rock, Earth Power, Draco Meteor, and Dragon Tail. Earth Power and Draco Meteor dominate his wall core in between Gourgeist and Gramble, and also do really ton of damage to everything else. Stealth Rock obviously nice for the Raptor and the Auroras, although Auroras is just neutral, but still Stealth Rock since he doesn't have hazard removal. And last but not least, Dragon Tail to phase him around with the spikes from Scolipede, Politoed. And yeah, also physically defensive, mostly this Garchomp and my Rachi to take on Raptor and Heracross as best as possible. So yeah, I felt good going into this matchup, and I say I hop right into the matchup. This to normal, so I lead off with my choice craft Polito to catch it, to potentially surprise him with being faster than an anticipated Staraptor lead. I figured he might lead Staraptor just to get a huge damage and a lot of momentum early game, but he leads Aurorus. I'm totally fine with this. Politoed has really great natural special defense, so I'm fine here. I can just throw off a Skull, potentially kill this, or at least burn it, or two-shot. So I at least 2-hit any variant of Aurorus. So I just go for a Skull here. No risk play, bringing him down to 1%. I fortunately get the burn. I don't think it mattered too much. He might have preserved Death Fodder, but he didn't have the greatest switch in anyway. So yeah, Aurorus pretty much goes down turn 1. The discharge on my Politoed does a decent amount of damage, but again, Politoed isn't here for tanking hits this game, it's just for dishing out hits, so I'm not too worried. Following this up, he goes into his Gorgeist, finds out I'm Choice Scarf, so I obviously can't stay in here, and I switch into my Conkeldurr. It's Guts with the Life Orb, so it does decent damage to this, while also being, having a status absorbing function for the potential Will-O-Wisp. He goes for the Trick Room here, which is kind of scary because my team is definitely made to outspeed his team and not to outslow. So with the Trick Room, his slower attackers, especially Sudowoodo, Heracross, and potentially an offensive Grand Ball, which I did not really expect, but it was a possibility, could have really hurt my team. So but still, I don't think Gorgeist could touch my Conkeldurr at this point. I wouldn't know how. So I just decide to go for Poison Jet, predicting his Grand Ball switch in right now. As he goes into Grand Ball, and even though I'm -1, I do a solid 67% to this. I reveal my Life Orb. But okay, so I have to switch out here, obviously. I can't take a Play Rough. I don't think he wants to over-predict and go for Earthquake, since he doesn't want to lose his Grand Ball right there. So I felt really, really good to go into Scolipede, and even if he T-Waves or something, I'm not worried, but why would he T-Wave on a Conkeldurr? So I'm just going to go into my Scolipede and get a Spike right here. I don't care if Scolipede dies as long as I get 1 or 2 layers of Spike up to help me with my potential late game sweep with Tornadus, which is what I'm playing for right now. Although this is greatly more difficult because of the Trick Room, granted. So he goes into Heracross, and I protect here to stall at the last turn of Trick Room, I think, and I assume just the regular Heracross set at this point that he's choiced in some way. So right now I protect to find out what he choices himself into and what he and to stall at the Trick Room right here, but he reveals the Substitute, so immediately I'm in a lot of trouble, because Heracross is probably a sub Bulk Up or sub Sword Stance variant, as he reveals the Bulk Up right here. I'm able to break his sub with Poison Jab, but obviously this isn't a 1v1 my Scolipede can win. So what I am gonna do, I have to break his sub, so he can't get 2 free hits off on my switch in, which is going to be my Jirachi. So I break his sub, and on the predicted next substitute, I switch out and go into I Baton Pass out into my Jirachi. So I'm feeling really good about this, because he goes for the substitute again. Now, had I switched into an attack, had he doubled attacked here, it wouldn't have mattered either, because I could have Psychicked and killed him. But this way he just goes for, I can go for Psychic, break his up, he goes for Close Combat, doing over half to my max physically defensive Rachi, which is crazy, but because of this Spadef drop and Rachi being naturally pretty strong and stab Psychic, I am able to knock out the Heracross right here. So I'm up 6-5 right now. So he goes into Gorgeist, and I have Substitute on this Jirachi, and I wanted to scout a bit, because I figured either he wants to set back up his Trick Room, that's the way English, set back up his Trick Room, or potentially go for a Will-O-Wisp or status move, or just, even if he goes straight for a ghost type attack, I lose nothing by just scouting for that and setting up a substitute right here. So as I go for the substitute, he sets back up his Trick Room. Again, I'm completely fine with this. I can, since Jirachi is behind the sub and sets up on this Gorgeist with Coal Mines pretty much all day, I'm not too worried about the Trick Room, because as long as I have my substitute, he will have great troubles revenge killing me, and at this point I don't think Gorgeist has anything to touch my Jirachi, since it seems more like a utility Gorgeist. So I'm just going to go ahead and call mine up here because there's no more free setup I will get. And he goes for light screen, and well, in general I agree with him having light screen because again he doesn't have the greatest special presence. This doesn't matter right here because I have the Call Mind. And with the Call Mind I'll be able to stall out the Scoregeist and actually get up to +6. Yeah, +6. He reveals the Destiny one. Again, I have no intention of attacking this Gorgas right now. I'll use this opportunity to set up as much as I can and to scout out more of what he can do. Why would I attack and risk a potential Destiny one from Gorgas? So yeah, I'm going to skip a few turns right now because he's going to keep for Destiny Bonds. I'm completely fine going for Call Mines and stalling him out of Destiny Bonds because I know I have more Call Mines than he has Destiny Bonds, so he will eventually be forced to switch out. And during all this, I just regain my health due to my leftovers. So on the turn he switches out, I can then safely attack right there. So, yeah, Calm Mind, he is going to set back up his Trick Room, and then he goes into Gramble, and unfortunately, because of the Trick Room, Gramble is able to Earthquake to break my substitute, as you can see now. However, I'm going to knock out his Gramble with a safe Psychic from my Jirachi. Nothing he could do against that. And there's 2 turns left of Trick Room, so he now has the potential to do a lot of damage to me because Pseudo Voodoo, the damage calc is like, it does about 60% with Earthquake to my Jirachi, I believe. So he goes for Earthquake, does 54, he's Life Orb, not Bandit, okay. And I knew I could live that. I needed to go for sub here, because if I hadn't gone for sub, the Trick Room would have still been up and his Raptor could have come in and revenge killed me. So I knew, barring a crit, he couldn't put me in a range where I wouldn't be able to set up a substitute anymore. So I just went for that to stall out the last turn of Trick Room, and this basically sealed a good game, because now, behind the sub, Pseudo Voodoo breaks my sub obviously, but Trick Room is going to run out, and now I can just Psychic, and with a +3 speed, my Scolipede passed into my Rachi, I'm just going to be able to clean up the game, knocking out Goregeist with a Psychic and the Raptor with a Psychic. So that's good game to Alex. Obviously not the best draft on his part because it's randomized, but I still think the Trick Room was a really cool gimmick that caught me off guard, and also the sub bulk up Heracross had potential to really hurt my team. But Jirachi coming through, picking up 5 kills in the first match. Okay, then moving on to my second match versus Ethan. Now, Ethan didn't randomize his draft, although in my opinion it's still a quite cool draft because you don't really see Slurpuff or Breloom being used that much in a counter team format, because you would expect them, they do one thing and one thing only. However, as you're going to see, Ethan devised some cool sets to catch me off guard. But I decided that this game, my way of winning was a 3 attacks baton passing, Life Orb offensive, Adamant Scolipede. Because after a speed boost I outspeed his entire team, including the Mega Aerodactyl. Earthquake kills the Chandelure and the Empoleon. I have Poison Jab for the Breloom and the Slurpuff, and I have Aqua Tail for the Mega Aerodactyl. Obviously Meloetta, I would have loved to pack Mega Horn, but I felt like the Baton Pass and the would have been better, or might be better. Especially because I have a 4 attacks Mega Garchomp of max attack Adamant in the back, which just with Poison Jab, Aqua Tail, Earthquake, and Crunch, which just OHKOs, or almost OHKOs, his entire team, barring something I wouldn't expect, as I'm going to show you later. Then I have my, again, a physically defensive Jirachi, this time no Calm Mind, but Iron Head, Wish, Protect, Stealth Rock to check the Mega Aerodactyl. Crunch, this about 54% max to me. With Protect, I'll be able to, and Leftovers, I'll be able to stall that out and threaten the Aerodactyl with an Iron Head. And I also beat any variant. I could flinch and beat any variant of Breloom. I have enough speed for Breloom. Then I have a Choice Scarf, Tornadus Therian. Now, while I had checks to Mega Aerodactyl and a potentially Scarf, potential Unburdened Slurpuff before they set up, but if they could out of hand, I had with a Choice Scarf Tornadus, I have a 100% Mon that can outspeed his entire team and is basically my revenge killer and my safety net if my other mons failed to do that. If Scolipede couldn't clean up, Torn had the potential to do that late game. So yeah, that was basically my safety net. I didn't really see any other possibility for the Tornado's T, and I just wanted to be my revenge killer and my last-ditch effort to beat the Aerodactyl or Slurpuff if he brings Belly Drum. Then we have Polito with an Assault Vest, Drizzle, Scald Focus by Ice Beam Hydro Pump, and as I already said, Polito's special defense is off the charts, and I run max HP, max special defense with the Assault Vest just for the Chandelure and the Meloetta. Like, I can't really touch Meloetta in return, which kind of sucks, but I take a hit, and especially Chandelure, because with Energy Ball, if he's Scarfed, he only does about 24% to me, and if he specs, he obviously does more, but I'm not worried about the spec set, because that gets outspec by my Garchomp, by my Tornchi, by my Rachi, and by my Scolipede easily, so I felt like the Scar set was a way bigger threat. And even if he was specs, Politoed could still take a hit, and also my Conkeldurr could take a hit. So if he locks himself into Energy Ball, I had the potential to just switch into my Conkeldurr, which is Assault Vest Guts, the standard set with Drain Punch, Knockoff, Poison Jab, and Mach Punch. Also some speed, so if I potentially pass some speed into that, I could beat some things on his team. Conkeldurr is also my main switch in for the Empoleon, because obviously I'd love if he Scald Burned me. I can threaten it out with Drain Punch. I also take any one hit from the Mega Aerodactyl and do a huge chunk of damage to it with Drain Punch, getting a lot of HP back. So that's also cool. Mach Punch is also nice for the priority, picking off the Breloom, and the Mega Aerodactyl. I also have Knockoff for the Meloetta and Poison Jab for the Slurpuff. So yeah, that's going to be my team versus Alex, versus Ethan, sorry. So yeah, let's go into the match. So right here, I'm deciding to lead off with my Conkeldurr. I anticipated either the Mega Aerodactyl, the Breloom, or the Empoleon lead. And then while I figured that, and I also figured that Conkeldurr was probably the least important member of my team from the start. And that's why I decided to lead off with it. I can beat the Empoleon easily, I can take a hit from the Aerodactyl, which is one of the biggest threats to my team, and do a huge chunk of damage to it with Drain Punch. Potentially even 2 hits if he sets up his Stealth Rocks. And if I get, if the Breloom decides to Spore me, I can at least get off a Mach Punch before that. So I felt really good about this lead Conkeldurr. Hindsight, I may have I think I considered a Sleep Talk Conkeldurr, but I felt like the Assault Vest was worth more this game. So for the Spore, obviously. But yeah, so as he leads off with his Mega Aerodactyl, that's one of the scenarios I predicted right here. So I feel really good about this. An Aerial Ace is not going to kill me, even if he's adamant. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Drain Punch turn 1, and I do 52% onto this Mega Aerodactyl as he sets up his rocks, which again, I'm completely fine with that. Can handle it. So I followed up with a safe Drain Punch. I did not want to mess around with the Mega Aerodactyl in front of me, because it's one of the biggest threats to my entire roster. Aerial Ace to Kong, Aerial Ace to Scolipede, Stone Age or Ice Fang for Garchomp and Tornadus, Earthquake or Crunch for Rachi, and Thunder Fang for the Politoed. So this thing outsped my team, had the potential to run through it, so I wanted to get rid of it as soon as possible. However, he makes a really nice double into his Slurpuff, and he sets up a Cotton Guard on my Poison Jab, which I go for here. I still think I could do a lot to this. He couldn't kill me. So now I'm in a tough spot, because he can set up all over my Conkeldurr, and with the Cotton Guard up, I couldn't really touch him. So my best option right here, I felt, and I choked pretty badly right here, I go into my Jirachi. And the reason behind this is I have Iron Head, and now it's Speed Him. So I thought I could flinch him down, and I completely forgot about Unburden. I don't know why, but I did. So I go for Iron Head here, as he sets up a Calm Mind, so my special revenge killing won't work either with my Tornadoes. So I go for Iron Head, and he gets the Unburden after the Steel Spirit, and I'm like, fuck, what do I do? I panic. I'm really panicking right here. Goes for Flamethrower, pretty obvious. There's 60% to my Rachi, and I'm in a situation where I don't know what to do. But here I actually I try to calm myself, consider what my best play was, and I have since he already revealed Calm Mind, Cotton Guard, Flamethrower, and I predict him to have like a stab fairy move, potentially dazzling gleam. I felt like he doesn't have reliable recovery. He he isn't too strong on the special side right now because he also has flamethrower and this fairy move. And I have an assault vested max Bedef Polytoad that with rain boosted scalds and potential burns should be able to beat this thing 1v1 despite its setting up, because it can't set up enough times before Polytoad actually kills this. So here I decide to I think I protect to get leftovers back on my Rachi on the flamethrower. And now I have to switch here because I obviously can't stay in. Rachi is my main check to arrow, so I go into my Polytoad as he goes for the flamethrower again. Yeah, why would he? In the rain, obviously it's going to do negligible damage, and he reveals the Draining Kiss. So as I expected, it gives him a bit of recovery, especially since I'm max HP. But let me pause this really quick. But I still would have been able to 1v1 him because of the assault vest. However, and my Scald and Rain and burns, potential burns. However, I crit him here, and that's pretty unfortunate for him. As I said, I still thought I would be able. I still think I would have been able to beat him with this Polytoad right here. However, yeah, the crit definitely made it easier and allowed me to preserve my Polytoad as I potentially switch into his Chandelure later on, because he's obviously going to go down to burn. So right here I felt pretty good. We have one of the biggest threats in Slurpuff out of the way, and we have the Mega Aerodactyl weakened, and we have the rain up, so Chandelure shouldn't be the worst problem. And he goes out into Meloetta. As I said, I can take a hit. I can take any 2 hits, I think, from this Meloetta, maybe barring Psyshock. Psyshock should do much to me. And Meloetta can be a threat, and depending on which set he runs, I have different ways to handle it. If he's a Relic Song set, my Scarf Torn T outspeeds it and kills it. If he is just a straightforward, if he is a Calm Mining set, I have to go hard into my Garchomp and try to do as much damage to it as possible, or into my Conkeldurr, whichever I deem more important at that point. Calm Mine would probably been the worst scenario. If he's just a Spadef variant, I can easily handle that. I'm not worried about that at all. And yeah, so I decide to stay in. Polytoad isn't that useful for me. I still have my Conkeldurr at good health for the Chandelure. So I decide just to throw off a Hydro Pump in the rain to do as much damage as I could. I unfortunately miss. Well, bit of justice for the crit earlier, I guess. And he sets up a Trick Room. He's taking a page out of Alex's book and goes for the Psyshock, doing a lot of damage to my Polytoad. I'm not going to connect the Hydro Pump. As you can see, Meloetta is so bulky on the special side, it's going to do negligible damage. But now I know that he's an offensive Trick Room Meloetta, and here he reveals the Shadow Ball as well. So I knew I couldn't really go, Jirachi wasn't the most safe switch in, but I can go into Rachi with the Protect, go for Protect. And at this point I knew I could take an Energy Ball with this Jirachi, Shadow Ball with this Jirachi, and wait for the Trick Room to run out. So I decide to get off a Wish right here to get back some health as he over-predicts and goes for Psyshock, weakening him further, which is fine with me. So I go get off my Wish, going to Protect as he sets back up his Trick Room, I believe. Which again, I'm completely fine with this. Trick Room basically means that this Aerodactyl is slower than the rest of my team, and that Meloetta, with my Rachi at full health, isn't too threatening. I'll get up my Stealth Rocks here. Now, his Braylon reveals the Toxic Heal, Poison Heal, which means that he's most likely a substitute variant with Focus Punch. I predicted Focus Punch at this point, which is threatening, but still I calced it, and Iron Head from my Jirachi should be able to break any potential substitutes, and I'm able to take a Focus Punch from this thing no matter what. So I decide to stay in here and just go for the Protect. Okay, yeah, I choke here and go for the Protect because I'm still expecting the Spore. Yeah, that's what it was. But here goes for Substitute immediately, which is kind of sad. Now he goes for the Spore, so I get this wrong, which sucks. But he has revealed Substitute and Spore. Sorry about that. He has revealed Substitute and Spore, which means that he either he runs Dual Stab, or he doesn't, or he runs some utility move and Rock Tomb. If he runs Dual Stab, my Tornadus beats it 1v1 easily. If he runs Dual Stab, my Scolipede. So I still expect a Rock Tomb on this set. However, here I'm just going to go for the Iron Hat, I believe, or try to wake up. Because I'm asleep, I try to wake up, going to break his up, but he reveals Leech Seed. And I'm like, what is this set? I'm really caught off guard by this, because my Rachi usually should be able to 1v1 most Braylon set. But with the Leech Seed and his Poison Heal, and as you're going to see, I wake up here, so I'm going to go for Iron Head. Me being unable to break his sub, and him revealing his last move in Drain Punch. So he has a really bulky Breloom. It was almost max defense Breloom, I believe, or at least a really bulky one, since Rachi didn't break his sub and due to some damages later in the game. And him having Toxic Heal, Poison Heal, Leech Seed, and Drain Punch to recover his HP. This thing is really annoying, really pesky to take down all of a sudden when my one of my checks is in against this thing and he beats it 1v1. However, with this moveset I was confident that he couldn't really touch my Scolipede. And while Scolipede is a huge win condition for me at this point, I didn't want to switch it in on the Spore. So I actually decide to get over Wish right here as he puts me back to sleep. Again, I'm completely fine with this. I rather wanted Rachi asleep than my Scolipede. So here I'm going to throw off a Wish, and then I'm going to switch out into my Scolipede. Predicting his Drain Punch right here as he throws that out. I'm obviously going to get all this HP back from the Rocks and Drain Punch with the Wish on my Rachi, and I'm able to easily break his substitute with a Poison Jab. Even a really bulky Breloom. Oh no, what? Even a really bulky Breloom wouldn't appreciate taking a Poison Jab from a Life Orb Adamant Scolipede right there. So yeah, I break his substitute, and right here he proceeds to Leech Seed me. I'm good with this, somehow not, because now he switches out. I predict this switch out because I've figured since Breloom annoys a lot of my team with this set it has, he wanted to switch, so I predict the switch, go for Earthquake, doing a solid amount to the Empoleon. Come on, again? I'm really sorry guys that you have to witness this stupidity of mine. Let me go back to where we were. So he switches. I do a lot of damage to the Empoleon. However, here, as I said, Scolipede is my win condition this game. It is the one thing that has the most potential to run through his entire team. Since he went into his Empoleon right here, which threatened me with a potential Scald Burn, and I wanted to preserve any health I had on my Scolipede, I decide to basically sack off my Garchomp. Now this might seem questionable because Garchomp also had a lot of potential to beat his team with the speed up, but since I am Leech Seeded and Baton Pass passes Leech Seeds as well, and I'm in front of an Empoleon which could potentially Scald Burn me right here, this is a really risky play basically, but I was more confident with sacking off my Garchomp at this point than anything else, because without Politoed I still needed my Conkeldurr to have a possibility to switch into the Chandelure at all. So yeah, I felt good about going into Garchomp. I knew I could take any one hit barring an Ice Beam, but he goes for Scald, doesn't get the burn. So I Mega here and just throw out an Earthquake. No reason not to. If he goes Aerodactyl, I can hit that on the next turn, but I take out the Empoleon, and I still have a few hits left in me. I feel good about this, because right here I think I can take out any other Pokemon on his team as well. But he goes into Breloom, but I have the Poison Jab for this. However, as you can see, that does nothing. That's a max attack Adamant Garchomp, and the Poison Jab doesn't knock out the Breloom, so I was really caught off guard by this. Yeah, but with the Drain Punch and the Leech Seed damage and the he's going to recover a lot of his HP back with his Breloom, sorry for that. And I'm really low, only have one more turn of attacking, and I'm going for the safe Poison Jab because this Breloom's just annoying, and he makes a good switch into Chandelure and gets some Leech Seed back, but still I was able with Rocks and Poison Jab to weaken Chandelure and get a free switch in into my Conkeldurr. At this point he doesn't have the greatest switch ins to Conk, and which is why I just decided to go for the knockoff right here to kill off the Chandelure or the potential Meloetta. Focus Search obviously was broken, so Conk picking up another kill. Right here I decide no reason to weaken any of my other mons, because if I sack Conkeldurr right here, I can safely go into Scolipede, protect, get the speed boost, and work out from there. If he sets up the Trick Room, he wouldn't have killed my Conkeldurr, and my knockoff from Conkeldurr would have taken out this Meloetta. So I felt really good staying in, going for knockoff. Both ways I would have come out on top of this situation right here. So he knocks out my Conkeldurr, and now I go into my Scolipede. I know I am faster than this, so I just go for the Poison Jab without protecting, giving him the chance to set up a Trick Room. I know I have 2 Life Orb hits left. I know his Breloom doesn't have Mach Punch. All it comes down to right now is me landing the Aqua Tail on the Mega Aerodactyl, which I do, fortunately. And now I can just kill the Breloom from the range it is at with a Poison Jab. No matter how bulky you are, you're going down. So this is going to be a good game. Even if I had missed my Aqua Tail here, I still have potential to 1v1 the Aerodactyl with my Rachi, or just win with my Scarf Tornadus Therian afterwards. So I think I played pretty well this game. I did what I had to do to win, and yeah, good game to Ethan. Really cool match, a really cool team. I enjoy seeing how you use Slurpuff and Breloom effectively, also Meloetta and Aerodactyl. Still, Empoleon is bad, don't draft Empoleon, but okay. Moving on to the last match. We're facing off against Beige. And Beige has a pretty threatening team with Blissey, okay, threatening, and I start with Blissey. Blissey, Zapdos, Durant, Hippo, and Tentacruel, and Gallade, Mega Gallade. So, problem is, with this team, I can't check his offense. I absolutely can't switch into his offense. I can check it, but I can't switch into it. Zapdos, if he runs HP Ice, Heat Wave, Thunderbolt, does crazy work to my entire team, potentially even with a Drill Pack to hit my Conkeldurr if I'm trying to check it with an Assault Vest Conkeldurr. Durant, if it gets a Hone Claws up, it obliterates my team. Garchomp takes a hit and Rachi take a hit, but they all don't enjoy taking these hits. Mega Gallade, big threat. My Torrent can outspeed, but even the special one might potentially... but Gallade with a bulk up or something up, it might potentially live my attempt to revenge kill it and do crazy work to my team. So I felt like I had to play really aggressive this game and really pursue my game plan, quote unquote, to win, because if I let him get any momentum or let him pivot between his offensive threats and wear down my team, I would have a really difficult time beating his team. And also, it's not that easy to break a core of Tentacruel, Blissey, potentially Zapdos defensively, and Hippowdon. So what I decided to do this game was all play for one goal. I wanted to speed pass into my Mega Garchomp. A potential this team definitely really has with Scolipede and Garchomp, and I really wanted to utilize this because while his offense is pretty threatening, I felt his defense was rather passive. Obviously, Blissey could have carried Ice Beam. I don't know if he actually had it. Hippo could carry Ice Fangs. Tentacruel could carry Ice Beam. So what I decided to was to bring, obviously, a substitute Protect Baton Pass Mega Horn Scolipede with Black Sludge and max HP, max speed. This thing is the most reliable set at passing because I said I Protect on the first turn, I outspeed anything else. I go for Substitute, get my +2, and then I'm free to speed pass. However, I have to make sure that if I want to pass into my Chomp, because I need, let me restart this. I'm going to pass into my Garchomp, and I have Sword Stance, Outrage, Aqua Tail, and Substitute. Now, I have Substitute with enough HP so that Blissey can't actually break my Substitute with Seismic Tosses, so I'm going to use that to scout for Ice Beam. Also, I have Sword Stance. I have Sword Stance because I have a choice card to trick Jirachi with Psyshock, Energy Ball, and Ancient Power, and if I am able to trick either the Blissey, the Hippowdon, or the Tentacruel, depending on which move they go for and they're locked into, I can capitalize on that with a Baton Passing and going into my Garchomp and setting up a Sword Stance of this. And as soon as my Garchomp gets to +2 attack with +2 speed, I basically sweep through his entire team with Outrage and Aqua Tail, assuming I hit my Aqua Tails and don't get confused. So again, it's a pretty big risk running Outrage and Aqua Tail as only attacking moves, but I felt like it was something I had to take this game. So Rachi was there to support the sweep. My favorite option was to trick the Hippo, because on the Earthquakes, Garchomp has a really good chance to set up, barring any crits, obviously. Psyshock was there for the Blissey, Energy Ball for the Hippo, and Ancient Power for the Zapdos mainly. Psyshock obviously hits Gallade and Tentacruel decently hard as well, and Ancient Power was really my only chance to have a shot at 1v1ing a Zapdos with my Jirachi or with my team in general. Then I have a Expert Belt Regenerator, Taunt, Hurricane, Grass Knot, and Toxic Tornadus Therian. Pretty much the most expandable mon on my team. I couldn't really do enough to Blissey with this, as Zapdos pretty much hard counters me. I can do decent amount to Hippo, but then again, Tentacruel, Spadef Tentacruel pretty much walls me. Gallade can potentially revenge me with a Shadow Sneak depending on how low I am. So I really felt like Tornadus wasn't going to do much this game. If anything, it might be able to revenge the Rand and the Gallade after a kill, but I felt this was the most expandable mon. And what I wanted to do with this is, I wanted to lead off with it. Because if he led off with his Zapdos, I would be able to Toxic it, and depending on if the Zapdos would be able to knock me out, I know if it's offensive or more defensively orientated. Zapdos is the biggest threat to my team, so the Toxic on that is really huge, because I expected somewhat along the lines of a 2 or 3 attacks Roost, potentially Defog, but he has Tentacruel for Rapid Spin. So I really felt I felt like I wanted to lead off with this, get as much, get hit of Toxic, taunt the Blissey, get a free switch in, and try to work from there. Hurricane, Grass Knot for Hippo, and Gallade, yeah. Then I have my Politoed. Politoed, another one of this Pokemon, actually would not do anything this game. It doesn't take hits from the Gallade pretty well, nor from the Durant, and it's pretty much walled by Blissey, Zapdos, and Tentacruel. So the only thing it could do was beat the Hippo. So I decided to Gallade potentially set up on this as well. So I decided to bring a Whirlpool Perish Trapping Politoed with Encore and Skull. Encore, so the Gallade wasn't gonna be able to set up on me even with Substitute, because Encore goes through Sub. Skull just to hit the Hippo as hard as I could. Whirlpool was there to trap his switch in and potentially, and then switch into my best answer to that without having to fear a double. If he wanted to stay in, go into Zapdos, I would potentially have Encored him, because I could have lived any one hit. I would have Encored him into the move he went for, so I could be sure that he wouldn't switch up his move and go for HP Ice on my Guard Jump switch, for example. So yeah, and last but not least, I have my Sheer Force Life Orb Conkeldurr with Substitute, Substitute, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Drain Punch. Substitute just there because I don't have Guts, obviously, and I could set up a sub on the Blissey. I have enough speed for that, and yeah, to continue from there. Apart from that, this thing does not speed any of his team, or not much on his team, but if I get it in the right situation, it can punch some big holes, and it's also my best quote-unquote check to Zapdos at this point, which is the biggest threat to my team. So yeah, let's hop right into the match. As I said, I'm going to lead off with my Tornadus, just to try, and he leads off with Zapdos, as I thought, because this thing just wrecks my entire team. Here he reveals pressure on Zapdos, which is kind of weird in my mind, because I figured Static would have been better for him to run this game, because Zapdos puts so much offensive pressure on my team. But okay, so as I planned, I decided to throw off a Toxic here, and he straight up knocks me out. So we're not off to the best of starts, because I'm down 5-6 already. However, as I said, that was a bargain I was willing to take to Toxic the Zapdos, and to know that this Zapdos is more likely, or is more offensive. So here, this also gives me gets me back the momentum immediately without having to switch into this monster in front of me right again. So I go into my Conkeldurr. A Sheer Force Life Orb Conkeldurr with Ice Punch has the potential, definitely locks out any offensive Zapdos 100%. He makes a good play to scout for my moves and goes for Roost right here, maybe expecting me to be Assault Vested. I go for Ice Punch, even though he lost his Flying typing, the neutral Ice Punch still does 59%. Conkeldurr is an absolute beast. He obviously can stay in, but I don't want to mess around with Zapdos because it's a big threat to my team. Go for Ice Punch again, do lots of damage to the Tentacruel as well, and he decides to go for Giga Drain because I wanted to preserve Conkeldurr to, again, put pressure on Zapdos and his team. He makes a good play predicting my Politoed going for Giga Drain. By the way, I'm Water Absorbed just because I wanted to have a Scald switch in since my Conkeldurr isn't Guts. So I wanted to have the safe switch into the Scalds from the Tentacruel. He goes for Giga Drain, however, and goes into Galate. I just Scald here. I wanted to get more residual damage on the Tentacruel and the potential switch-ins. If he went Blissey, I would have Whirlpooled and Encored in the next turns. But I figured Galate might be his switch-in, so I wanted to try to get a Scald Burn. Unfortunately, I don't. So here, by the way he brought this in, I expect that he is a substitute Galate, because look at the damage the Scald did to him. That's only 23%. So this thing, I believe, was specifically, I assume, was specifically EV'd for its sub not to be broken by a Scald from a non-invested Politoed. So what I do here, predicting the substitute, going for Encore. So basically preventing him from setting up on me. And then I decide to switch out into my Jirachi, which is my Choice Scarf Rachi, because it would have outsped the Galate and could have broken up the sub and done a lot of damage to that right afterwards. He makes a good play, doubles into Hippo, but this is the scenario I wanted. Basically, I wanted to get Rachi in versus the Hippo, him thinking he could beat me, and then I trick him. Because with this Hippo trick, might give me the setup opportunity I need for my guard jump to win the game. Sorry about that. So let me continue. So the Hippo is now choice locked into Earthquake, as I know. Obviously, I get some leftovers back, but I have no business staying in here. Switching into my Politoed, it's a rather safe switch, and Earthquake can't do too much to me. And here, same scenario as before, I go for Scald, wanting to get a burn. Tentacruel doesn't have reliable recovery. He is somewhat hesitant to switch in his Blissey, which I somewhat understand, because it's potential setup fodder for my team. However, why would you draft Blissey in the first place if you're afraid of that? But this way I'm happy, because I can chip down the Tentacruel to a point where I can easily pick it off with anything. I go back into my Rachi, predicting the Giga Drain, which is what he's going to go for. With the leftovers, I get back a decent amount of HP to also live a Scald at this point, as he goes for the Scald. Doesn't get a burn, so I am able to knock him out with Psyshock. So I'm 5-5, so I'm feeling quite good right now, but he brings this threat back in. Now, I know he has the Roost, so I think he'll go for the Roost here. I didn't want to give him the free Roost here, so I decided to go for Ancient Power. Now, maybe Psyshock would have been the better play, because I could have done more damage to this Zapdos. However, the Ancient Power boost would have been pretty much the only way for me to 1v1 this Zapdos afterwards. And I was confident to sack my Rachi here, because it wouldn't have done much more to his team. So I go for Ancient Power. Unfortunately, I don't get the boost, and he's going to knock me out with a Thunderbolt on the next turn, which is, you know, unfortunate, but still, with the Toxic damage and the Ancient Power damage, he's almost as low as he was before, and I get, again, a free switch into Conkeldurr, putting a lot of pressure, and I'm not messing around with the Zapdos, going for Ice Punch on the Durant, and here, I know I can take any one hit from this Durant, and also Hustler has the potential to miss, so I decide to Drain Punch here to do as much damage to the Durant as I possibly can, and I can easily pick it off with a Mach Punch afterwards. He decides to set up, which is a play I don't really agree with at this point, because obviously Conkeldurr can do a lot of damage to us, and why would I switch into anything? Maybe he predicted me to switch into to a bulky guard jump, which is, I guess, a possibility, but no way I'm giving this monster a free setup here. So I'm going to go for the Drain Punch, putting it down to 5%, actually revealing my Life Orb in the turn. But with Mach Punch, I'm going to pick off the Durant and pretty much neutralize the biggest threat to my team. Now here, he brings in his Galate, and he's obviously going to click Zen Headbutt to revenge kill me. I've decided that Conkeldurr at this point isn't as useful, because I now have the choice to save Conkeldurr, go into Politoed, potentially sack that off and get a switch into to Scolipede to start setting up for the sweep. However, this thing most likely has Ice Punch, so I wouldn't be able to pass into my guard jump anyway. Plus, if I switch out right now, he has the potential to go for Substitute or Bulk Up, which I don't want, so I don't want to give this thing any chances. So I just decide to go for Ice Punch right here. He goes for the good play, in my opinion, goes for the Zen Headbutt and kills me. But this again gives me the potential to go into my Scolipede. And at this point, he doesn't know I am just a baton passing set. Because if I had been a Life Orb Protect 3 attack set, I could also have won this game potentially at this point. So Hippo is his best answer to it because he thinks he can 1v1v with Earthquakes. I protect here. It fails, so I can protect again on the next turn. I can also go for sub in case he switches out, which is, I think, the better play for me. I go for sub. He Earthquakes. I get up to +2 speed. I know he's choice locked into Earthquake, and I know my Guardship can take, I think, 3 or 4 of his Hippo's Earthquakes by the damage. Or usually Hippo's Earthquake. He can't switch it up, go for Ice Fang to beat my Guardjump at this point. So I'm safe, I don't need more speed than this to pass into my jump. And at this point, I know I need +2 attack as well to OHKO his entire team or from the range it's at. So I have to risk the Earthquake crit right here. I get the increased bulk. Unfortunately, I don't get the roll to beat the Hippo. And so here's another. This is the crit I had to risk. And the Aqua Tail misses, of course, but I can't lock myself into Outrage just yet because if I would have done his I would have needed a 3-turn outrage. I would have been confused before I could have picked off his entire team, and that would have been bad. At this point, I also figured because he had Substitute, Zen Headbutt on his Gallade, that he needed Ice Punch for my Guardjump, and he probably needed Drain Punch to actually do something to my Jirachi. So I thought he would be sub 3 attacks and wouldn't have Shadow Sneak, so I felt really good about setting up here, and even though I'm at a low amount of health. Here I know my Outrage is going to straight knock out the Blissey. He goes out to Gallade next. I think this didn't matter anymore. If he would have gone out to Zapdos before, he obviously wasn't static, which meant he couldn't have gotten a paralysis, and Zapdos could have been more likely to beat the rest of my team, because Mega Horn on Scolipede still does a decent amount to this. But yeah, I don't think it matters because Zapdos was toxic, so I could have pivoted between Protect, Substitute, and on Scolipede and my Politoed, potentially to Encore him into something, or to just let the toxic damage rack up to where Scolipede can actually kill. So yeah, so even if I hadn't gotten a 3-turn Outrage here, I was pretty confident I had the game. Not got the Gallade. As you can see, I got the 3-turn Outrage, and I'm really, really lucky this game turned out this way. I beat the Zapdos, the biggest threat to my team. Yeah, Guardjump really coming through in the end. My game plan here worked out really nicely. As I said, this matchup was pretty difficult for me, I think. So I had to go take some risks and go a bit out there with my prep, but I felt like it worked out really well for me. So yeah, that was the GPC group stage. We obviously made it to the knockout stage. We won our group with 3-0, obviously with a +12 differential. So we're moving on as the first one in our group, actually going to face the Verd in the first round of the knockout stage. So I'll be seeing you guys back for that later in the week. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the battles. I hope I could give you some information about my thought processes behind these games. My name is Johnny. I'm the coach of the Yoko Lunken Caldas. Cheers, I'm out.